Welcome everyone to today's bonus webinar, Marketing Automation for Small Business. I'm Maria Piegler. I'm the founder of socialmediaonlineclasses.com, and I will be your host for today's webinar. I want to let you know what to expect during the webinar and afterward. Today's webinar will be 60 minutes. This is a complicated topic. I'm making it as simple as possible, but it will be 60 minutes. This won't be a 30-minute webinar. The good news is you do not have to take copious notes because you're getting everything that I use during this webinar. You will get the webinar video replay on Monday. You will get the slide deck, the audio file, and this month we don't have an infographic. We have a worksheet for you to plan out your automations. And so you'll be getting that today. So you don't have to take a bunch of notes. You'll get everything on Monday and some of it today. When you have questions, ask those in the chat window and I will respond to them as we go throughout the webinar. And I will stay as long as y'all have questions. I know that y'all don't like doing an hour-long webinar, attending them. I don't like attending them either. But for this topic, it's going to take that long. So if you need to leave during it, no problem. You'll have the replay. You can always come back. And again, I'll answer questions as we go along. So the first thing that I want to hear from everyone is, what is the number one thing that you want to learn out of today's webinar? That's really important. I want to make sure that I'm answering your questions and meeting your needs in today's webinar. And so let me know in the chat window what your number one thing is that you want to get out of today's webinar. It's a common refrain from small business owners that we don't have enough hours in our day. There's just, one of the things that I told my husband this week about having my own business is I'm never bored, because there's always a new challenge around the bend. There's also just not enough hours in the day to get everything done. And that can be a challenge for small business owners because we don't have a sales and marketing team. We don't have the resources for it. And a lot of times we just don't want it. So what you can do instead is automate much of your sales and marketing. Not everything, and we'll go into that. But you can build processes so that you are generating leads and following up with them and onboarding new clients. And we're going to look at how to do that today, and we're actually going to do it together. So the goal for this webinar is to build a 24/7 marketing and sales flow so that you literally get business in your sleep without having to work 24/7. All right, before we get into all of marketing automation, I want to talk about the buying cycle, because I talk about this a lot and it's very important to understand because it's at the foundation of everything that we're going to talk about. And that is that people go from being ice cold to very hot. And what I mean by that is somebody who is ice cold is somebody who doesn't even know about your business. So Sarah was just saying Pinterest is an international platform and she wants to target local people who don't even know about their business. So she's going after people who are probably cold prospects. And when you get people into your buying cycle, they go through 4 and really even 5 stages. The first stage is somebody who doesn't know about you at all. That's called a cold lead. Then they become a visitor, and that could happen through a website search. It could happen through a Pinterest pin, a Facebook post. It could be through a link through somebody else's website, or even a recommendation from a colleague. Once they show interest, they become a prospect. And interest is usually visiting multiple pages on your website or spending, I would say, more than 3 minutes on your website. That's somebody who's a prospect. A lead is someone who provides you their contact information. It could be an email address or a telephone number. or somebody who you get a phone call with. And then a buyer is somebody who purchases from you. The goal in marketing automation is to nurture people from being ice cold to a buyer without you having to be hands-on all the time. And I can tell you it's possible because I do it. I have a very sophisticated marketing automation process built into socialmediaonlineclasses.com. Okay, so that buying cycle is the foundation for everything that we do in marketing automation. So let's create a marketing automation system. Now we're going to talk about 4 different phases of marketing automation. First, I'm going to define what it is. And then we're going to talk about the 80-20 of marketing automation. And this is going to be the most important part for small business. So pay attention to this. I'm going to talk about my favorite automation tools, and I think you're going to be very surprised at what they are. Sarah, maybe not for you. But and then we are together going to build a marketing automation system. I'm going to show you sample automations I have and how to build those in these tools. So let's get started. First of all, what is marketing automation? Because there are a lot of different definitions, and if you Google those, a lot of times the definition that you'll see is that it's software. That's not what it is. That is not what it is at all. Marketing automation is putting your small business marketing tasks on autopilot. It's the process of automating a lot of the behind-the-scenes tasks that free you up to do more important work. These are the things that are repetitive, that happen over and over again. It is not a specific product or a specific tool, even though they will tell you it is. That's wrong. So let's look at a sample of marketing automation from Social Media Online Classes. This is a marketing automation that I have going right now, and it is generating leads for me every day, probably at least 5 to 10 leads a day. I have a Facebook ad. That is not automated. I created this ad, and it's a conversion ad to get people to join my free social media strategy class. When they fill out the form to join that class, that's when the marketing automation takes over. So I want to make clear, the Facebook ad is not automated. It's what happens after somebody opts in to give me their email address. They become a lead. That's where marketing automation takes over. Now let's take a look at what happens once they opt in. Here's what happens. I created a follow-up system. So when someone opts in, gives me their email for my free social media strategy class, over a 1-week period, here's what happens. I get their email address. They're added to an email list, and that email list is very specific for the offer that they opted in for. So they're added to my social media strategy class email list. They're sent 4 different emails over a 1-week period that onboards them, which is kind of a software term for basically it gives them an orientation to the free social media strategy class, how to take it and what to expect, and nurtures them to make a purchase, a very small purchase of a $7 social media post template webinar. So I'm taking them from being a visitor to my website to a lead, actually a visitor, prospect, then to a lead, and I'm nurturing them to become a buyer, all without anything hands-on to me. I'm not involved in this 24/7, even though this system is doing that for me. I also track their email activity, whether they're opening the emails and clicking on them, and what pages they visit on my website. I don't do that to be creepy. I do it to qualify them as to whether or not they are a good prospect for me. Somebody who opts into the class and never takes it is not a good prospect. Somebody who opts into the class, takes it, and finishes it is an outstanding prospect. And that's somebody I want to become a buyer. And so when I track that activity, if they are someone who are taking those steps and looking at the class and taking it, it triggers additional automations. So I have a very robust process here that happens through marketing automation, and it just starts by somebody clicking on a Facebook ad and giving me their email. You're paying attention. That's what I like to see. When you guys have questions, it tells me that you're engaged. So you can see here in the buying cycle, I've taken them from being a visitor to a prospect to a lead, and I'm nurturing them to become a buyer. And that's all happening in an automated way. I'm not having to do this every single day with the 5 to 10 leads I'm getting. And this isn't the only offer and only automation I have running. So I have a lot of these going, and there's just no way I could do this in a one-person operation. All right, so number 2, let's take a look at the 80-20 rule of marketing automation. We've defined what it is. Now let's look at what you should be automating. And this is going to be the most important part of this webinar, so pay attention. Now, what should you automate? You want to automate marketing tasks that yield results when you do them manually. Now, understand what I'm saying here. And I made this mistake, and this is why I'm telling you this. Don't automate something unless you know it works. Because otherwise what you're going to have is a hot mess on your hands. So you have to do the task manually yourself first and know that it works. Then you can automate it. That's a lot of the behind the scenes marketing tasks. Things like what I just shared with you about when somebody opts in for my free class. I also have one where if somebody visits my pricing and plans page, I follow up with them. If somebody visits 10 pages on my website, I follow up with them. If somebody signs up for the free social media strategy class but never takes it, I follow up with them. And they get a very different message than somebody who has taken the whole class. So what people see is I'm paying attention to them. I'm paying attention to what their needs are so that I can reach them when they need it. I have automations for a lot of things, and these are just a few. But also just marketing tasks that you don't enjoy. Like Marge, it sounds like you don't really enjoy posting to social media every day, so you'd like to automate it. So you can automate things like emails, social media posts. Marge, that's definitely something that you can do. You can automate your Facebook ads. I automate our Facebook ads. Now, I'm not going to go into how I do that in this webinar. We can talk about that in coaching, or I can do a bonus webinar in the future about it. But that is something that I automate, believe it or not. I automate boosting my post to a custom audience. It's not an easy thing to do. You can automate follow-up when people purchase from you, giving them their receipt, and then next steps. That's really important because people end up having something called buyer's remorse if they don't hear from you. And also just customer support. But what you don't want to automate is that personal touch. In doing all these things, you want people to feel like they get to know you and they're connected with you. What you do not want to automate is your personal touch, customer service when people have a problem, or anything that requires your personal attention. Those are not things that you want to automate. It's the surest way to lose customers. All right, so see we have a question. So let's see, time, yeah, Marge says time is the problem. Yeah, that's the dilemma of being a small business owner, Marge, is that we all need more time in the day. So the most important thing for marketing automation for small business is the PARETO principle, or the 80-20 rule. And this is what you will not hear from anyone else besides me. So pay attention, because I'm about to make a huge clarification on marketing automation that you will not hear from anyone else. And that is that 20% of your effort in marketing automation will yield 80% of your results. When you look at marketing automation tools, they will throw the world at you. Excuse me. Okay. I'm telling you all these things you could do with it. That doesn't mean that you should. And so what we're going to talk about are the things that you should be focusing on immediately to start making money through marketing automation. The top 20% of your marketing automations are only three automations. And these are the ones that will make you money. And they are in the order that I recommend that you do them. Number one is new client onboarding. You want to welcome your existing clients and tell them what to expect and how to use your service. That's incredibly important. Customer service has risen to a new level these days. It's not enough just to get people to buy from you. Now, Marge, I understand that's going to be a little bit different with you selling on Amazon, but I get emails from sellers on Amazon. I don't know if it's because I buy from an individual store or not. But new client onboarding is the most important thing you will do in your marketing automation for one reason and one reason only, and it's this. Those are the people already spending money with you, and you want to retain them for as long as possible. Too many people focus on the customers that they don't have. I need more sales. I need more customers. Well, the first thing you do is take care of the customers that you have, because those are the ones spending money with you right now. The second automation is what I call an abandoned cart. You follow up with people who visited either your product page, your pricing page, or they added something to their cart but didn't check out. Now, I'm going to show you an easy way to do this. It's really very simple. There are more complicated ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the easy way. And then third is generating leads. What I showed you with that Facebook ad, generating leads and then nurturing them to become buyers. That is the third thing that you need to automate. And it's only these three things. These are the only three things that I want you to focus on automating right now and getting them, polished like a diamond. Because if you do that, you will make money from these. These are the automations that will show you the money. People will get out their credit cards and get out their cash and buy with you because it shows that you pay attention, that you have excellent customer service, and that you care about your customers. And I can tell you, 99.9% of your competition doesn't.